Hi again, this is Pastor Mizell. Welcome to Beyond the Pulpit. Thought I'd take a little break in my day today and, just share with you one more thought about Jesus. We're working on a little series of who Jesus is and how credible is Jesus. And it's a thought process that each of you have to go through individually. And so we have already in our first video talked about Jesus himself. And is this something to check into? Absolutely it is. Jesus made some claims that are astounding, that cause us to face the idea or the point of eternity as to how it pertains to us. And we better look into it because eternity is a long time. And after our death, where do we go? What happens? And Jesus was pretty clear about that stuff. And then on number 2 video, we talked about the most important place or the most pronounced place we're going to find any information about Jesus is in the Bible. And so we know that we can go into history and find tidbits of information, but did come to the conclusion that in the Bible is where we're going to find the greatest amount of information about Christ. And so without any further ado, I want to take you to the very crux of the entire thing. I want to take you right to the most important issue of who he is. And then we can work from there. And so John in chapter 8 in verse, maybe 56, Jesus is talking to the Jews. He's got a whole group of Jewish people there, and mostly scribes, Pharisees, members of the Sanhedrin, the church of the day, and they were so blind that they couldn't see the coming of the Messiah. They knew there was a Messiah that was supposed to be, but when Jesus appeared, they totally missed it. And so they lived according to the old law, and they were always banking their relationship with the eternal Father on the fact that they were descendants of Abraham. Now, as we know, Abraham was kind of the founding father of the Jewish nation. The promise that the Messiah would come through Abraham came from God to Abraham, and there was this promise given that all of mankind would be saved through his seed. And of course, the Jewish nation kind of rose up through the seed of Abraham, so they put all their stock in that. So in this conversation that's taking place in John 8, Abraham comes up. And so in 8:56, Jesus tells the Jews, he says, "Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it, and he was glad." And so what, in fact, he's telling them. Now remember, there's a lot of time that's gone by. 2,000 years. And so what we see today and what they saw then may be two different things. And there is a disconnect between what we know here in America and what the Jewish people know and what they were born with and what they lived with and their understanding of God versus ours. So I'll try to explain some of that as we go along. It says, "Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day. He saw it and he was glad." And what he's telling the Jews is, you know what? Abraham had enough foresight that when God made the promise of redemption through his seed, Abraham could see that the coming Messiah was going to be a person just like Jesus Christ, a person that was going to come and bring salvation to the world. Abraham rejoiced in the fact that there was this amazing gift that was going to be given generations later through Jesus Christ. And so the Jews, being closed-minded as they were, extremely closed-minded, the Jews said, "Hey, you're not only 50 years old, and you're telling us you saw Abraham?" Jesus is trying to make a point, and the Jews are just playing dumb. They should have listened to what Jesus had to say, and he was trying to make a point that Abraham could see this thing. Why can't they see it? Bottom line is they refused to see it. Might I add right here, that is the problem with most people. The issue is as clear as it can be. The facts are all there. The problem is that people refuse to see it. They don't want to see it. And so they act just like the Jews, and they start making all these accusations and saying, well, you're not old enough to know Abraham. And Jesus said unto them, now get this, this is the hook. Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. This is a profound statement. To you and I here in America, it probably doesn't mean a whole lot, but to the Jews, this was huge, because what he has done right here is he made a twofold statement. One is, I'm eternal. Abraham lived 14, 28, 30, 34 generations, 2,000 years before Jesus Christ ever existed. And so when you hear Jesus say, before Abraham was, I am, he's proclaiming his own eternality. He says, I've been here for eternity. I was here when Abraham was around. That's basically what he's saying. The Jews are taken back by that. That just totally blows their mind. But then he says, before Abraham was, I am. Now he uses the name of God. I am. And that I am is a name that not only attributes him to God, the Creator, but as again to eternal. I am that I am here before, I am here after, I am always here. And so what the Jews perceive this to be, and correctly so, they just misinterpreted, I guess, what it means to them in their heart. They said Jesus is proclaiming to be God. He's proclaiming to be eternal. They knew exactly what Jesus was saying. So what they do? Next verse. They took up stones and cast them at him. They wanted to stone him to death because he had claimed to be God. Now, if there's one thing about the Jews we can learn, is they hold this reference of God very, very important. And it's a holy reference. And they don't play games when it comes to the Creator of the universe. They're very serious about protecting the name Jehovah. Very serious about serving the Lord the way they need to serve it. They just miss the Messiah. People in America today kind of passive about God, and they don't really think how serious this really is. But what Jesus said to the Jews that day was that he was God. I am the Creator. I was here before Abraham was here, and I'm still here today. And in fact, that's where this series is going to take you, is to the point that Jesus is the Creator, looked down on mankind with mercy and pity, saw they had a need, and the Creator himself visited earth in human flesh. I think you'll find that in the very beginning of the book of John. In the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among men. And so there you have it. What we're dealing with here when we deal with the issue of Jesus is Jehovah God, the Creator, the immanent one, the one who created everything you know, including yourself. Now, are you beholden to him? Do you have any need to fulfill his desire? I mean, if he created you, wouldn't you think that you'd be at least a little curious as to why? And what your mission here is? What is it you're supposed to be doing? Going straight to the Creator is going straight to Jesus Christ. Well, we got a whole lot more to say about that later on, other videos. We're going to be investigating Jesus from a lot of different angles. I want to thank you for being here with me today, and please join again as we do another Beyond the Pulpit. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.